Hey bookworms, welcome back to my channel and to another review. Today I'm going to be talking about Circe by Madeline Miller, and according to what I checked, this is how you pronounce the title. So this book came out in 2018 and really exploded. I saw raving reviews on it all over the place, so I decided to wait a couple of years before reading it. This is usually my strategy when reading a very hyped book, in order not to be swayed by other reviews. Also, totally unrelated, but this was actually my wedding dress. I'm filming in my wedding dress. I don't really own a lot of white clothing, and I really wanted to wear white for this video, so yeah, this was my wedding dress. Also, the makeup that I'm wearing, my eyeshadows are also the same eyeshadows that I use for my wedding. I did my own makeup. I didn't do this look. I went a bit more traditional when it came to wedding looks, so obviously not this lipstick, but yeah, I don't know if it interests any of you, but yeah, it gave me some nostalgia vibes to my wedding 6 years ago. Okay, now let's go back to the video. So Circe is the story of a minor god in the Greek mythology, a subject that I really love and I'm really interested in. It's basically her life story, even though, as you can probably imagine, being a mortal, it's not your average lifespan nor life story. But while the gods and titans, nymphs, etc., you know, all the others, are rather high and mighty, Circe has always been very compassionate and very human. This caused her to be looked down upon by the others, and we follow her as she's being punished by them and exiled for having this compassion for the humans. And despite the retribution, she keeps sticking to her own truth and basically reinventing herself and taking pride in her being a witch. You know, I think that only now, as I was writing the script for this video, I realized just how empowering this book is, and not only for women, which is one of its strengths. This novel is about overcoming prejudice and accepting who you are, standing against severe, in this case, bullying, and learning to love yourself. And as a woman, embracing your inner witch. But it's not only women who can feel like they are punished for things outside of their control, so despite having a female protagonist, and definitely having a female voice, I think this novel can speak to more than just women. So by now you probably understand that I really enjoyed this novel, but this empowerment is not the only thing that I liked about it. I like the poetic, almost fairy tale way of writing. It manages to give you a feel of this epic, fantastical myth without going into purple prose. Now, purple prose is a concept that, strangely enough, I only recently discovered, and it means to be so poetic and flowery that it's a burden on reading. Basically, distracts you from the plot itself. It's too much. If you've seen my review on Something Wicked This Way Comes, this one definitely sinned the sin of purple prose. Anyway, Circe isn't like that. It's magical, it's about gods and curses and monsters, but it also has a story to tell. Speaking of, I really like the characterization of the other gods, mostly the fact that she didn't try to humanize them too much. I feel that mythological gods tend to be romanticized in the absence of a better word, but in the reality of the mythology, they were bastards basically. They're treated humans like playthings. They toyed with them with no concern to the humans' feelings, anguish, or wants, and they didn't let them forget for 1 second who has the real power here. And Circe herself, as I mentioned before, is very human and therefore very relatable, but because of that, she's being treated mostly like a human by her fellow gods. This feeling of being an outcast among your own peers becomes another relatable trait. All Circe wants is love, friendship, companionship, which is very human. Speaking of love and friendship, this is a good segue to another really interesting thing in this book: relationships. We have plenty here: romantic, sexual, familial, both positive and negative. We have friendships, we have frenemies. And this variety in these relationships is very refreshing. Miller showed that there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to relationships. Not all mother-son relationships look the same, for example, or sibling relationships. But there's also isn't a right way and a wrong way to have contact with others. Love looks differently in every relationship and in every person. In addition, the casual way that sex is portrayed in the novel makes the feelings between the two participants the real focus. Circe has many lovers, but it's their friendship that she mostly seeks. I really appreciated this take on love and companionship and how sex is just a gravy. Lastly, I do want to point out that despite me really enjoying the novel, I also realize it's not for everyone. As I mentioned, the main character is rather feminine and the entire narrative is very feminine. I do think that this novel is not just for girls, but let's face it, it's mostly female-oriented. I find it very sad that many men wouldn't want to read a woman's story, not to go against men in general, but, sadly this is how our society is. Now let's see how many men are going to comment something like, "I'm a guy and I like women's stories." Well, good for you. It doesn't change the fact that I believe most readers of this novel are going to be female. In addition, I feel that some people will also find this novel a little slow. I did read some reviews that said that nothing happens in the novel, and I strongly disagree, but I also understand how some people will find an exile to a small island alone for hundreds of years kind of come across as nothing is happening. If you're watching this thinking you might belong to this group but still interested in this book, I recommend listening to it as an audiobook. This might help make this pass a little bit more quickly. So to conclude, this is an interesting, beautifully written, empowering story that takes a world that we all heard of, Greek mythology, and show us a different side of it. It's one of those books I can comfortably generally recommend to pretty much everyone. Madeline Miller wrote this book after another bestseller, The Song of Achilles, which is already on my TBR. I haven't read it yet, but don't worry, I'll get there. So guys, that's it for my review. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to click the like button to show your support, but also subscribe to my channel if you dare. And don't forget to write down in the comments section what sort of mythology is your favorite, if at all you're a fan, and what is your favorite book about it. Again guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.